Welcome back. Just going to jump into DB-RollingStock as it is on my drive. This is genuinely unseen, thought it would be good to get to the point of the series. And this is built in 2008, I think. That's the last date modified on the original file. Oh, it's a little bit disorientating now that I'm back in this. So, as before, I will do the capping of the flag just to show the map off, and then we can, as before, have an interesting look at some other things, like the laser fence mesh being missing for one thing. And once again, it is just me by myself, no bots, nothing. I can't even remember the number of players that played these things online. Might have been 12, or was it maybe even been as high as 16, 8-player team. Yeah, that's the one-way drop. I was a little bit confused there. I thought that staircase went all the way down, but not. And just while I'm going to admire my own work, I think this looks reasonable. I'll big up my ego later on. Kind of I guess you would call it a feature that you have to crouch to get the flag. No real point in that, it's just something which is in. It's a lift, very interesting. And for the second time we cap a flag by ourselves in a truly unseen map. So talking a bit more about this, I mean fundamentally it's the same thing as Liner. You have the two bases, the control room, a couple of other things going on as you can see. Have a look at the roof, which is actually accessible. I mean, a lot of Liner was actually essentially scenery, whereas this is all meant to be accessible. That's well timed for jumping on top of this. So, I have a theory, which is that any first-person shooter with a capture the flag mode and map editing tools will have this map made, two bases on wheels rolling through the desert, or an equivalent. I know there's one for Team Fortress 2. There's something somewhat similar to this for Pariah, which is probably a game nobody's ever heard of. And Liner was this, well, I guess you could say this is Liner on wheels. As you can see, there's a few things which are different. The obvious thing being two routes in and out of the control room. And I wish I could say this made it play better, but of course I never played it, so it would have at least been less of a choke point. And you can see there's a little hole in the roof there as well. That's well, once again the developer options come out. Oh, what's happened to my mouse sensitivity? I think I might have accidentally put it down. Oh, okay, that's better. So this just an alternative way of getting onto the oh dear. That went well. Yeah, well, it's not much of a surprise what happens when you fall off. Actually, this is a good thing to talk about. I love maps with movers, moving planes, helicopters, whatever, that you can actually get on. And this is a good example. It's just a mesh on a loop. This is actually quite embarrassing. I mean, in my defence, it's meant to be hard. This is meant to be an alternative route of getting in and out, so it's actually meant to be a little bit of a challenge. And that's clipping through there, that's not good. And the perennial issue with these movers is that there's no conservation of momentum in this. Realistically, if this thing's moving and I jump, I should keep going on with it and land in the same spot. But of course, if I jump, it moves out from under me. And that is just fundamental coding of this engine. I don't think there's anything I, using the map editor, could do about it. Funnily enough, Bioshock Infinite, completely, well, it's not really a random topic, it runs off of Unreal Engine 3, which, even though that's a completely new thing compared to this engine, they had the same problem, from what I recall reading, that all of these floating islands that they made in buildings were a nightmare, because you need the physics to be, as I said, local to the mesh that you're on. In this map, there is an absolute, in this engine, there is an absolute frame of reference, thank you. So as far as this engine's concerned, I am stationary, and as soon as I lose contact with that mesh, I am also stationary, so I will happily just stop dead mid-air and fall down like a cartoon. I'm sure there's probably some way you could hack it with, I don't know, physics volumes or something, but I don't want to try and brainstorm a hypothetical solution to this right now. So that can deposit you onto this roof, and of course you can just drop down into the control room there. Now, this configuration you would say is a pure drawbridges map, just like Liner. The only way to get from one side to the other is by the bridges and using the switches. And I think I was toying with the idea of maybe having more than one way of doing it. So you have the drawbridges, but this perhaps could have been an alternative way of doing it if there was maybe some sort of ramp at each side so you could drop down. How would you do it? You would have to grab the flag, fight your way through the enemy base, drop into this, and go across the other side. Yeah. So I think that was the idea of just, at the moment, it's just a one-way drop onto that, and the only useful thing you can do is come up onto here. These fences were to prevent you from going up. I think, again, hypothetically, because no one's played this and no one ever will play it, if there's a one-way ramp on top of that... Oh, this weapon's glitched out, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Right, okay, back to all weapons. Aye, here's our old friend, particle laser. If there's a one-way ramp on the top of that roof there, so you could quite easily get onto this roof but not cross, you could have an exciting battle up here. Maybe it would have been worth having a few more things up here, maybe some sort of crates or a little maze or something. Yeah, you can imagine an interesting little battle going on just in here, on here, I should say. I must say, I think more than anything else, this looks better than Liner. Again, I don't want to pat my ego up too much. But when I opened up this map, even looking at it in the editor, I thought this actually looks decent. It's a desert canyon, it's a very claustrophobic canyon. I think there would have been plans to make this much more of a kind of wide desert plain with mountains going by in the background and all sorts of detail. But as it is, I genuinely think this looks reasonable. Much brighter, decent size, a lot more cover, more interesting routes, and as I said, with the little truck going back and forth there, I might have had an idea of having maybe the previous map had a helicopter just going round and round. Maybe a helicopter that you could jump on. So if you had the flag, if your team had the bridges, it's a quick route back to your base. But if you had the guts, you could come up here, fight your way. Be very, very vulnerable on that platform near to snipers and all that. But maybe if you could take the risk, fight your way across here, you could get back across to your base, perhaps on some sort of helicopter here. And if you wanted to get very complicated, you could maybe have separate switches for that. You know, imagine a map with, you know, a dozen routes between the bases based on platforms, movers, conveyor belts, jump pads, and each one of them can be toggled. That would be just dreaming here. So I think that's one of the reasons this is actually accessible. Quite good or bad for sniping, depending on your point of view. But as before, with Liner, the base is fairly shielded from sniper fire. So as before, it's not nice. I say involuntarily sniped, as in, if you don't want to be doing a sniper battle, nobody likes being sniped. So yeah, a lot of cover from that point of view. And again, the bridges are fully enclosed. They were from the beginning in this. Switch my way through these weapons here. Let's just... these little movers going back and forth. I just thought it was cool. It's a nice detail. No immediate use of coming up here, of course, because there's, unless you wanted to snipe, I suppose, and that's not right. Yeah, there's a little bit of clipping going on, which on the other side, but well, I guess it can be forgiven. Yeah, and again, these are more. You could do all sorts of things with moving walkways and elevators. I think this map had some good, honest potential. I think it would have played a bit better than Liner. I guess there's not much more to say. Yeah, that's something's gone a bit wrong with that ramp there. As I say, this is not playable, but obviously not completely finished. I do love the sky. I think that looks really nice. So, in terms of interesting things to talk about, as with Liner, if it wasn't obvious, the map isn't moving, it's just stuff scrolling past, oldest trick in the book. So this is just a texture, but the walls there, those are actually meshes. And in Liner, I mentioned that, you know, the helicopter is one mesh that goes round and round and round. These are, I guess, the opposite of that. These meshes are spawned in ahead, and then they come past, and they disappear once they're beyond the distance of the fog. And just as with Liner, synchronising all this up, it's maybe a bit more noticeable here. So you've got the scrolling texture of the ground of the canyon, you have the velocity of the sidewall meshes there, and you also have the velocity of these wheels going round and round and round, and they'll have to be synchronised, and arguably this little exhaust, the speed of those particles going back should be the same as the hypothetical wind. It looks okay at a glance, it's just a matter of tweaking a few values. Again, some particle effects, I think. I mean, you can imagine this canyon opened right out, particle effects, wind going overhead, you know, dust clouds, dust balls, tumbleweed, that's it. It's a map in Unreal Tournament 2004 called Convoy, which is very reminiscent of this. That would have been the... Actually, it's called an inspiration for this. I don't know why the fog's still grey, must have just defaulted to that. Again, this would look far better, less claustrophobic, open. Can dream. I wish there was more to say about this. I mean, unlike Liner, because this has never been played, I can't even say, oh well, this happened in online matches and I thought this would work, but it didn't, or I didn't realise people would take advantage of this feature, so I had to tweak it. I guess the problem we have here is just this is obviously an angle you would never see in normal gameplay. Begs the question as to why the textures are visible. So yeah, that's DB-RollingStock, a map which has had at least a bit of love put into it. This wasn't like massively intensive to build. You know, fairly standard, but I do. There'll be more maps in this series that I'll look at and I say, actually, I think that does look quite nice. That's me outside the volume of the level again. So one of the things is the distance fog completely disappears, so you're left in the void. That's the skybox over there. Again, so later on in this series there's going to be a long video talking about skyboxes in the context of an Unreal Tournament 2004 map, which had some problems with that. We'll get onto it. Quite a lot to see for Devastation first. But that is a literal skybox, which again you can see because you're outside of the level. And I just want to demonstrate something. I've got the developer modes on, but if I was to say go back to walking, I instantly die because I can't exist in the solid volume. It's not a good terminology. I call it a solid volume. I suppose it is. The solid space outside the level. And that's among the reasons BSP holes are very troublesome. I might try and deliberately make a bad one to show what can happen. When you're just walking along and you die for seemingly no reason in the game. It's actually because the BSP geometry is messed up again and the engine thinks you're in solid geometry, so it just kills you because, you know, it's considered... You know, they say video games don't imitate real life, but I think if I was transported inside solid rock, I don't think I'd be having a very good time, so I guess that's realistic. Yeah, there's not much left to say about this. Again, the scale is actually reasonable now that I look at it. I mean, you come in here, and that's actually not bad, certainly. Again, it's maybe slightly off, but it's not terrible. These walls are transparent. This is an issue. So you have distance fog in the main space of the level. This is a transparent texture, and you can see there it kind of... I don't even know what the actual technical reason is, but you can see there it causes a problem with seeing the meshes spawning. You can't see it looking there, but you go through here, and it's as if it kind of allows you to see through the fog to some extent, which isn't great, but again, who cares? I thought I'd be spending a bit more time in here. It's probably ran on long enough as it is. But yeah, unfortunately there's not much to say except presenting the level. Could probably stay here all night talking about how it might have played, but that's all just irrelevant now. I don't think there's really anything to say about this in the editor either. So probably this is about it. Next map is CTF Submerged and DTT Liner, which I'm sure you'll be very excited to wait for.